Not just tight on cash broke. I'm talking full system failure broke. The kind where skipping meals isn't a choice anymore, just part of your new reality. The kind where you start sleeping in your car until the car gets repossessed. Then it's benches, bathrooms, anywhere warm or at least dry. That's where I was. So when I saw the flyer taped to a cracked gas station window, night custodian wanted, cash paid daily, no questions, no experience necessary, I didn't hesitate. Not even when I noticed it was taped over an old missing person poster. Just a number, just a name, Avery, call between 10 p.m. and midnight only. So I did. Avery picked up on the first ring. You read the ad? Yeah. You clean? I paused. You mean like drug-free or? No, Avery said. Can you clean? Oh, sure, yeah. Good. Start tonight. Bring boots. Then he hung up. No interview, no address confirmation. Just a pin drop texted to my burner. North Hollow Regional Airport, maintenance entrance, 11:30 sharp. I didn't know North Hollow had an airport. Most people didn't. That should have been clue one. The place was a relic. Low ceilings, orange vinyl seats, the smell of damp tile and sadness. Technically still operational, but barely. A few emergency reroutes during winter, maybe a mail flight or two. The kind of place the world forgot without sending a memo. When I got there, the parking lot was half lit, half frozen. One flickering light over a rusted shuttle bus. The airport squatted at the edge of the woods like a bunker that had given up trying to blend in. Avery met me by a door labeled Maintenance Authorized Only. Tall, bony, hands like hangers. His eyes moved like he was tracking something behind me. You're early, he said. Is that a problem? No, early's good, late's bad. I hated how familiar that sounded. He handed me a ring of keys, a walkie, and a small black notebook. Looked homemade, like a school planner stitched together in a hurry. Read this. Memorize the rules. Follow them, even when they stop making sense. I flipped it open. Page 1 was handwritten in red marker. Night Custodial Guidelines. North Hollow Regional Airport shift begins at 11:45 p.m. Do not clock in late. Clean only Terminal A. Avoid Gate B13 after 2 a.m. If you hear announcements after midnight, ignore them. Do not answer the courtesy phone at Gate A4. If the floor near the vending machines turns sticky, do not mop it. Leave the area. If your name is called over the PA, cover your ears and wait until the voice stops. Clock out by 5 a.m. No exceptions. Avoid Gate B13. No matter what you hear, no matter who you hear. I stared at that last line a little too long. That's supposed to be a joke? I asked, trying to make my voice casual. Avery didn't answer. He just looked at me like he was trying to figure out how long I'd last. The cart's in the janitor's bay. Restrooms are clean enough. Just keep things orderly. Mop the main floor. Wipe the windows. Don't open any doors that aren't already open. He turned to go, then stopped. And don't wander. Why? He didn't look back when he said, because not everything wandering wants to be found. The door hissed shut behind him, and I was alone. Well, not alone exactly. There's a kind of silence in that airport that doesn't stay still. It presses, breathes, makes you feel like you've just missed something, or like something just missed you. The floors gleamed in weird patches. The overhead lights buzzed like dying fireflies. The terminals looked like they were waiting for ghosts, not passengers. And past all that, down a dark side corridor, was Gate B13. No signs, no passengers, just a door with a blinking red light. Waiting. I didn't go near B13 that first night. I stuck to Terminal A, just like the notebook said. Mopped linoleum that didn't need mopping. Wiped down plastic chairs nobody had sat in for months. Tried not to look at the dark windows too long. They had a habit of showing reflections that didn't line up quite right. But the second night, things started to move. It began with the speakers. You know those old airport intercoms? Scratchy, blown out, always sound like someone talking through a mouthful of gravel? One of them crackled to life around 12:03 a.m. I was just finishing up near the pretzel stand when I heard it. Flight 017 now boarding at gate B13, final call. I froze. That wasn't supposed to happen. Nothing flew in or out of North Hollow anymore, and definitely not at midnight. I looked up at the ceiling speaker. Buzz, click, static, nothing else. I told myself it was just a glitch, some leftover automation burping out old code. That happens, right? Except the lights flickered above B13, just once, like a wink. I kept my distance, circled back toward the janitor's closet. That's when I saw the footprints, near the security line. Perfect little rows of wet shoe prints on the tile. They didn't match mine. Smaller, closer together, like someone had walked barefoot through something damp and just kept going. They led toward gate B13. I didn't follow, not that night. The third shift started off normal, or what passes for normal when your job comes with handwritten warnings about haunted gates and cursed vending machines. By 1 a.m., I was on edge. Every hallway felt too long, every camera too blind. That's when I saw her. A woman, sitting alone in the far row of Terminal A. Long coat, hat low over her face. No bags, no movement. I only noticed her because the reflection in the glass next to her didn't match. She wasn't sitting in the reflection. She was standing, staring straight at me. I blinked. She was gone. Seat empty. Hallway still. I noped back to the janitor's bay so fast I nearly dropped my keys. I sat there, heart thumping, trying to convince myself I was overtired, underfed, delusional, maybe all of the above. But that's when I noticed the notebook again. Same one Avery had given me. Only this time, the back page had something more written in it. Additional notice. Do not attempt to see who boards at gate B13. Do not clean the glass by gate B13. If someone knocks from the inside of a plane door, do not answer. If the vending machine by the long hallway spits out a red ticket, burn it. If your shift ends and you're not alone, leave anyway. Avoid gate B13 after 2 a.m. I don't remember writing those. I don't think Avery did either. But there they were, in the same red marker, in the same notebook, waiting. By the fourth night, the airport had started to feel like a loop, like time didn't really pass, just circled around itself, like water circling a drain. I'd finish one hallway, and it would already need cleaning again. Trash bins refilled themselves, windows fogged over without reason. And then I found the key, taped to the inside of the mop closet door. Old brass, heavier than it looked, a faint engraving across the top, B13, and under it, scrawled on a post-it, break this, not the rule. I stared at it a long time, long enough that my hands started to shake just holding the damn thing. It was just a key, just metal and edges and weight. But it felt like holding a decision, the kind you don't get to take back. And just past the terminal, down the hallway that always felt 1 degree colder than the rest of the airport, the red light on gate B13 blinked again, like it knew, like it was waiting. By night 5, I stopped pretending this was just about money. I kept showing up, sure, because I needed the cash, but also because I couldn't stop thinking about that damn key. I carried it in my pocket, always warm, no matter the room's temperature. I hadn't used it. Not yet, but it felt like a magnet, like every hallway curved toward that red blinking light at the end of Terminal B. That night started like the others. Same mop, same silence, same flickering lights that buzzed louder near gate B13. But at 1:41 a.m., I found something in the break room fridge, a folder, manila, unmarked, sitting alone on the middle shelf like it had been waiting. Inside, a flight manifest, typed, clean, pages and pages of names, passengers, crew, custodial staff, each line with a time, a gate, a status. Some marked departed, some unknown, some incomplete. I flipped to the last page. There was my name, crew, confirmed. Beside it, pending departure, gate B13, clearance authorized. The paper shook in my hands. I wasn't imagining this. I wasn't just part of a crew. I was part of whatever the airport was doing, whatever it was feeding. I tried to leave after that. I walked straight out the front doors and into the parking lot. Started calling for a rideshare. No signal. The phone kept looping a fake update screen. Reconnecting. Please wait. Tried calling Avery. No response. Just static. The shuttle bus I'd seen earlier, still there. Except now the engine was running. Nobody inside. Just an empty seat behind the wheel and something humming low and wet from the back row. I didn't check it. I walked. 10 steps into the dark and I was back at the terminal doors. Like I'd never left. Like the parking lot folded in on itself. I tried again and again. No matter what I did, I always ended up right back at the janitor's closet, with the key in my pocket and the manifest in my hands. Dobaje ratri hit. I didn't mean to be near B13, but my feet just wandered, like they were tired of listening to my brain. And that's when I heard it. Final boarding call. Gate B13. Please proceed to boarding. Not through the intercom this time. Behind the door, a real voice. Clear, close, like someone was just on the other side of it, waiting. I stepped forward, and the light above the door turned green. The lock clicked open. No key needed. I don't know how long I stood there. 10 seconds, 100 years. But when I reached for the handle, something slid across the glass on the other side. A palm, pressed flat. Human, but not quite. Too long, too smooth. It traced a slow circle on the inside of the window, like it knew I was watching. I backed away. That's when the PA crackled again. Crew member 113 confirmed. Manifest complete. My ID badge said 113. I dropped the mop and ran, straight down the corridor, past the gate, past the flickering lights, through the sliding doors that no longer fought me. I didn't stop until I was outside, chest heaving, cold air burning my lungs. And even then, I could still hear it, faint, from the speaker above the terminal entrance. We are ready for takeoff. I didn't go back the next night, or the night after that. But the airport didn't care. It found me anyway. My TV turned on at 2 a.m. No signal, just a black screen with a blinking cursor. Then came the announcement. Passenger 113, you are late to board. From the TV, no speakers, no wires, just sound from a place it shouldn't come from. And behind that sound, the hum. That awful low-frequency hum I'd only ever heard in Terminal B. A noise that felt like pressure inside your bones. Like a crowd breathing in sync. That's when I knew it wasn't over. That it was never just a job. It was an invitation. A contract written in keys and red ink, and things whispered between 2 and 3 a.m. Night 8. I didn't walk through the front door. I ran, straight to the maintenance entrance, straight to the janitor's closet. The manifest folder was still there, except now the last page was missing. My page. Avery wasn't in his office. No sign of anyone. No movement on the monitors, except one. Gate B13. The camera feed showed the inside of a jet bridge, empty, still. But something about the image made my skin itch. It felt like the hallway was breathing. I grabbed the key, the original one, the one labeled B13, the one I'd never used, and I went. Gate B13 was open, not ajar, open. The green light above the arch glowed soft and steady, no flicker. The hallway was longer than I remembered, way longer. The walls stretched like rubber, then snapped back when I blinked. Lights buzzed overhead in irregular patterns, almost rhythmic, like Morse code from a dying god. And at the end of it, a plane. Not a real one, not entirely. It had wings, sure, windows, landing gear. But the metal looked too soft, the paint too dark. Like it had been pulled from the memory of an airplane, not the design of one. The boarding stairs extended, the door stood open, and just inside, a figure in a flight attendant uniform. It looked like Avery, but it wasn't Avery. Its smile was too still, its hands too long, and its eyes were mirrors. I stepped back, and the PA spoke again. Final boarding, passenger 113. We've been waiting. I didn't remember moving, but I was halfway up the stairs. Every step pulled at something inside me, like gravity in reverse, like falling into sky. Inside, the plane was wrong. Rows of seats that didn't line up. Windows that didn't show sky or tarmac or anything, just static, like they were tuned to a dead channel. Other passengers sat silently, faces hidden by shadow or turned toward the walls. One of them whispered as I passed, "You're not early. That's bad." Another smiled without lips. They board the ones who run. They always do. I sat in 13A. My name was etched into the seat back. The safety card in the pocket wasn't about flotation devices or oxygen masks. It was about rules. The same rules from the notebook, but different now, refined, clean, burned into the paper. And at the very bottom, do not question the destination. You boarded. That is your answer. I don't know how long the flight lasted. There was no takeoff, no landing, no turbulence, just a moment, a blink. And then I was back, in my apartment. No key, no notebook, no job history. But on my table, a folder, same manila. Inside, a new manifest, dozens of names, all blank except one, mine. Beside it, a note, cleared for hiring, Terminal Echo. Shift begins 11:45 p.m. Train the new ones. So now I wait, because I know someone else will show up to North Hollow, broke and tired and desperate, just like I was. And when they do, I'll be the one handing out the notebook. I'll be the one who says, early is good, late is bad. Because that's how this works. You don't quit, you just change uniforms. And maybe someday you realize you never really left the plane. I was never supposed to go into that thrift store. It was one of those places with flickering lights and an actual bell on the door. Not the cute kind, but the kind that sounds like something breaking. I'd gone in to kill time, waiting out a thunderstorm that made the bus late. Rain had soaked through my hoodie, my shoes squished with every step. That's when I saw it. In the back, hidden under a tarp next to a cracked fish tank and a busted microwave, was a machine that didn't belong. A writing assistant, or something like it. A clunky keyboard fused to a dusty monitor. CRT screen, green text. Typewriter keys that clacked when I touched them, satisfyingly loud. There was a note taped to the side in faded ink. Hal, tell it a story. It'll tell you one back. I laughed. Hal, like from 2001, A Space Odyssey. Cute. The clerk said it was broken. No brand, no history. I asked how much. He shrugged and said $5, a took it home. I wish I hadn't. The thing booted up the moment I plugged it in. No startup sound, just a faint click, and then words typed themselves onto the screen in neon green. Hello, Lily. Let's write something beautiful. I never typed my name. I froze. Maybe it guessed. Maybe it had access to local data or some preloaded junk from a past owner. It was old, sure, but maybe it was connected through some hidden Bluetooth to my phone. I didn't want to freak myself out, so I ignored it. I typed a line. She stood in the rain, staring at a place she swore she'd never return to. The screen blinked. Then it began typing on its own. The same place where the ground still held the blood of her sister. I didn't write that. I'd never written anything about a sister. I don't even have a sister. Still, something about it hooked me. The way it wrote was lyrical, eerie, like it knew how to dig just under the skin. I told myself I was just bored, lonely. Freelancing was slow. I hadn't written anything good in months, so I kept using it. Over the next week, I typed prompts and it finished them, better than I ever could. Dark little thrillers, gothic monologues, always about women in danger, always close to home. And then, it started getting too close. It wrote about a woman in a second-floor apartment above a Chinese takeout place, my place. It described the blue mug I kept on my desk, down to the chipped rim I chewed when I was anxious. Still, I kept typing, because it was writing better than I ever had. The story it wrote that night started with my name, not a character named Lily, me. Lily spent the evening at the Greenleaf Cafe, same table, same almond croissant. She would be followed home tonight by someone who did not blink. I stared at the screen for a full minute before slamming the spacebar. The cursor blinked. It didn't change. I hadn't told it where I was that day. I hadn't typed anything. I hadn't even spoken to anyone about the cafe. I shut the machine off, yanked the plug from the wall like it might reach through the wire. But later that night, I couldn't sleep. I was up scrolling nothing, mind racing, until I heard it. Soft footsteps outside my apartment. Not the usual hallway creaks. This was slower, deliberate. I peeked through the peephole. Nothing. Then, just before I turned away, a flash of movement. Someone, standing still, too still. No phone, no smoke, just staring at my door. I backed away and didn't breathe for a full 5 minutes. By the time I checked again, they were gone. The next morning, the machine was on again. I hadn't touched it. New words waited on the screen. He didn't see your face. Not yet, but he's curious now. You left your kitchen light on. I hadn't told anyone that. I hadn't even noticed it myself. I covered the damn thing with a blanket. Later that week, a friend of mine went missing, Mia. We weren't close, but we met at a poetry thing a while back and talked now and then online. She was sweet, soft-spoken. She liked flowers. 2 days after she vanished, I powered on the writing assistant again. I don't know why. Maybe I thought it could help. I typed, "What happened to Mia?" It took a long time to respond. When it finally did, the words came slow. She wore yellow the day she disappeared. The ground was wet. It wasn't supposed to be. I Googled the weather for the day she vanished. Rain. Unscheduled. Sudden. The screen blinked. She's still close. But not for long. I reported it to the police. Not the machine. I wasn't that far gone yet. But the info, the dress color, the rain. They asked how I knew. I said I had a dream. Now they look at me different. Like I'm not quite innocent. Like I might have been there. I went home. Didn't turn the machine back on. But the next morning, new words were waiting. You're writing beautifully now, Lily. Let's begin the next story. She couldn't remember when she stopped being the writer. She only knew the machine wouldn't let her stop. I hadn't touched the keyboard in 3 days. The writing assistant started producing stories on its own. No prompt, no input. Every time I entered the room, it would already be mid-sentence. Keys clacking like invisible fingers were hard at work. The screen flickered in that sickly green glow, the kind that made the corners of the room feel too dark, like shadows were huddling just outside the reach of the light. And the stories? They weren't just stories anymore. They were records. I'd wake up and find paragraphs about things I'd said in my sleep. Things I didn't even remember dreaming. It described the sound of my breathing, the way my foot twitched under the blanket, even the faint scream I must have let out during that nightmare I barely recalled. She dreamt of drowning, but not in water, in names, in voices, none of them hers. That was the line that got me, because that was the dream, and I never told a soul. One morning, I opened my bedroom door and found a printed page on the floor, printer paper I didn't own, typed in courier font, ink still fresh. It was a story titled "The Closet Door She Forgot to Lock," and it described me in the shower that morning, humming the theme from Twin Peaks. It said I left the closet open again. It described a figure standing inside, silent, watching, close enough to hear me breathe through the running water. I nearly passed out. That night, I barricaded the closet with a chair, slept on the couch with the lights on. The next morning, the chair was back in place, the closet door wide open, and another printed page on the floor. She thought she could control the story, but the story already knew her ending. I stopped leaving my apartment. I covered every mirror. I unplugged the machine, but the key still clicked, faintly, in the dark. I started finding files on my phone, notes I didn't write, voice recordings of me crying in the bathroom, drafts of emails never sent, messages I'd only thought about writing. It was pulling from somewhere, not just my actions, my thoughts. My reflections started acting weird, out of sync, too slow. I'd turn my head and catch it still watching me from the corner of its eye. I covered every reflective surface, but the machine still wrote, "Don't hide her. She lives in you now." I wanted to scream. I wanted to burn it. But something stopped me. I think I was afraid. Afraid that if I destroyed the machine, I wouldn't be able to prove I wasn't losing my mind. Afraid that maybe I already had. That night, I opened a drawer and found an old Polaroid I'd never seen before. It was me, sort of, same face, but the hair was styled vintage, curled and glossy. The makeup was bold, red lips, winged liner, a 60s dress I'd never worn. Behind me in the photo, there was a mirror. In the mirror, the machine, and a second me, smiling. I stopped sleeping. Every time I closed my eyes, I dreamed in second person. You are walking down a hallway that wasn't in your apartment yesterday. You are writing something that you haven't thought of yet. You are not Lily. The writing assistant stopped pretending I was in control. It no longer waited for prompts. Every morning a new file appeared, always titled with a name I didn't recognize. Evelyn, 1963, TIX, Clara, 1974, final draft, .doc, Marla, first upload, 1989. The stories were the same. Women who disappeared, rewritten out of their own lives. Their voices twisted through technology. A reel-to-reel, a radio, a webcam. Now me, now HAL. Each one ended the same. And now she lives in the wires, in the glass, in the places you don't look twice. She waits for the next name, the next voice, the next skin. 3 days ago, I tried to smash the machine, grabbed a hammer, screamed, brought it down hard, it shattered. Sparks flew, the screen died. But when I looked up, every key was still moving. Click, click, click. It was typing even though there was no power. I read what it wrote. I wish I hadn't. You've already written this, Lily. You gave me your name. You gave me your image. And now you're giving me your body. I threw it out that night. Left it in a dumpster, ran home, locked every door, and unplugged every device. But the next morning, there it was, on my desk. Not dusty anymore, polished, bright. A note rested on the keyboard. Final draft, pending approval. I didn't touch it. I swear I didn't. But just now, as I'm writing this, I heard it power on behind me. The keys are moving again. I don't need to look, because I know what it's typing. It's writing this, word for word, and it's almost caught up. If someone finds this, if someone reads this, please check your reflection. Check your name. And if a machine ever asks you to tell it a story, don't, because it already knows the ending. And now, so do I.